Hey guys, welcome back to the farm. So to kind of start things off, I've got a little bit of a confession to make. Sometimes with my responsibilities, I'll start doing something just trying to get stuff done. You know, I've gone over our list of projects we're trying to get done in the near future. You know, we've got the 5-year plan. Obviously, I've got a lot of stuff going on and I'm very task oriented. I like checking things off lists and getting things done. And sometimes that does not really work well with being a YouTuber, because when you're trying to shoot YouTube content and videos for you guys, you have to actually take the time to get the camera and then shoot the video, which obviously makes the job that you're trying to do take longer. And I've had a bad tendency of just not really thinking about it, you know, going about my day-to-day and just trying to get as much done as I can. And in doing so, I've missed out on opportunities. It's just kind of how I've worked, and I've acknowledged it and I'm changing it. So here's what happened. Here's what I kind of owe an explanation. Is yesterday, towards the end of the day, I knew that we needed to transition our layers that are in the brooder pen in the barn out to grass. And without even thinking about it, I was like, yeah, let's just go knock this out. And so me and Wes set up the net, got out the meat bird tractor, which is where they're gonna stay for a while, got everything set up and didn't even think about it. I also knew that we were gonna be having our broad-breasted white turkeys coming in at some point this week. So the idea to take you guys along with me on not just moving the birds out, but then setting up the turkeys and going through the process of like new turkeys or new chicks coming in and our routine on doing that, I had already kind of started doing it and then thought about, oh, this would be a really cool video. I bet you people would enjoy this. Instead of just saying, well, I already started and now it's too late, I decided to just stop and I'm gonna pick up the video where I can. So where that leaves us is I've got the layers moved out to the tractor behind me. They're in their pen, they've got their netting and their energizer set up, and I have picked up the turkeys from the post office. I did want to take this opportunity to kind of go over the setup that they're in, because it's almost like what I would call our transition setup. So they're not old enough to go into the main coops with the main layers, and they're too big and feathered out for like the brooder room or a brooder. And so what we've kind of developed for our system is what we kind of call like an adolescent pen or a transition pen that essentially fills the gap between brooder to permanent coop where they're gonna stay. So I'm sure I'm not alone in that experience of needing to figure out a way to bridge the gap between fully grown birds that can go and transition into your permanent coops and too big and too old for brooding. The primary problem we ran into was that all of the poultry netting, no matter what company it came from, never really functioned for that transitional age. They're too small for the regular netting to hold them in. They can just pass through a lot of the bigger holes. And so what would end up happening is that they would start escaping. Once they get outside the protective netting, they're no longer protected from predators. We'd have chickens go missing. It was a big headache. And it was really frustrating, especially when you were growing out more rare breeds like copper Marans or even olive eggers. So I started looking into it and I found out that Premier One actually makes a net specific to solving this particular problem. And that's what's actually right here behind me. It's this black netting right here, and it's already off, so I'm not gonna electrocute myself. I did make sure of that. So this black netting is called a shocker knot netting. It's very popular because we're expanding in a few areas where we're gonna be trying out some meat ducks and some other stuff this year. I went online to try and acquire some, and it's still back ordered. It's obviously a good product because lots of people want it. It's not a good thing that if you don't have any and you'd like to have some, it's unavailable. I've been thinking of how to solve that problem. I don't really have a solution yet, but if I come up with something, I'll make a video about it. Because I think there's probably a way that I can make a regular poultry net into a shocker knot net. So the reason it's called shocker knot is because it's got the regular electrified netting, but then at the bottom, I don't know, third of it, it's got essentially some chicken wire that's made out of not metal, but like plastic. And that's kind of tied into the bottom half of the netting. And that's actually what provides the solution to the problem. That non-electrified netting keeps the birds from being able to pass through those holes while they're in that transitional adolescent phase. And so I really like this setup. They'll stay here until I'm ready to transition these birds into the traditional netting with the Chikshaw. All right, so this is, I'm not exactly sure the number. I think it's supposed to be somewhere around 20 broad-breasted white turkeys from Murray McMurray. Obviously we get all of our poultry and fowl from them because, not just because they're our partners in downtown, but because we really think that they're the best hatchery, and we've just always worked with them. Even before we were partners, we've always been Murray McMurray people. So anyways, these are our broad-breasted white turkeys. These are going to be raised for meat for our family. We'll do a processing sometime at the end of October before Thanksgiving. We got this many not just for us. Obviously we'll put some up and have them later on in the year. Wes makes a great smoked turkey. It's actually one of my favorite things that I've probably ever eaten. We'll usually give a few away to just different families that we're feeling led to. It would be easy for us to just take care of ourselves, but generally we also like to take care of other people. Now, I don't have any particular idea of who they'll go to, but I'll figure that out as we get closer to it. And we'll get an actual count once we're unloading them individually into the brooder room. To get them set up, we need to clean up the mess left by the chickens. And so basically I'm gonna kind of scoop up and clean out, and then we'll compost all the manure and shavings that the chickens used. We'll put down a fresh bed of pine shavings. We'll probably set up with that many turkeys. I'll probably only need one heating plate, so I'll set up one of our large heating plates. We'll set up a couple of waters, and then we'll obviously put some food out. Now, the food they'll find naturally, because fowl, they just have a tendency to just, check things out and see what's edible. So they'll find the food. You do have to wet their beaks and show them where the water source is. And so we'll do that individually for each bird. And that's also when we'll get our count to find out exactly how many we have. I'm gonna leave them sitting right there with the lid on. They'll be safe until I get all this set up for them. Because these are 2-day-old, I'm going to actually lower the back considerably. I'm actually going to lower the whole thing, but I'm going to make the top higher and the back a lot lower. And the reason I'm doing that is because it gives them different heat levels. The further back they go is warmer, and the further to the front they go, it cools off because the plate is higher off the ground. So if they want to get warmer, they can move towards the back. If they want to get away from the heat, they can move towards the front, or they can just get out from underneath it altogether. I really like these heating plates. They're safer than heating lamps. They're safer for the birds. They're safer for your barn. They're safer for not starting fires. I've never had one of these explode or, you know, become dangerous like that. It simulates a mother turkey or a mother chicken, radiant heat from underneath their wings and feathers, so they can come up underneath and just press up against the top to get warm. This is heating up, which they don't really need it necessarily right now, but it's supposed to get kind of chilly tonight. But by the time it gets cold, this should be ready to go. So now it's time to bring the turkeys in and dip their beaks. I've got it zoomed in right now because I want to show you what I mean. Earlier when I was talking about dipping their beaks to show them the source of water, so you just grab your chicken, turkey, whatever you've got, just gently hold them like this, and you're just going to touch their beak to the water, and you'll see they immediately will start drinking. All right, so then once that's done, you can let them go. I'm also going to set them underneath the heating plate because hopefully they'll figure out that that's warm. That's 2, 3. $25. Okay, so we had 25, which I think actually that was right. I was remembering 20 something. Now they're gonna start exploring. They'll find the food, and then they'll find the heating plate, and I'll come back and check on them here in a little bit. This is the stuff we took out, and I'm gonna get that to the compost pile. Now, because I know what those birds ate, medicated, all that stuff, it's safe to use this to compost and then put in our garden when it breaks down. This is chicken manure, which runs really hot, and so it's gonna need some time, but probably fall garden or maybe next spring, whatever pile we put this in, we'll be ready to use. While we were in here setting this up, I kept hearing what I thought was a chicken running around inside the barn, but actually I just saw a flash of it. And what I think happened is when we were transitioning them outside yesterday, one of them must have got out through that door and I didn't notice, and now it's loose in the barn. So I'm gonna go get the net out of the side-by-side and try and catch it before the cats do and get it back out with the rest of his layer friends out in the field. This should be fun. Okay, I've located the chicken. It's underneath this feeding trough inside that stall. I'm gonna try and scoop it up with the net. We'll see what happens. I got you. It's okay. Calm down. Trust. No! Told you. Okay. You don't want to stay in here. All right, I got it. You almost got away from me, but trust me, You do not want to stay in here with those cats. They are not to be trusted. All right, let's take her back out to where she belongs. All right. All right, crisis averted. She's safe and sound. No chickens lost so far. So that's good. All right, turkeys are settled in. Thank you guys for coming along with me. I hope that it was educational. And if it wasn't educational, I hope it was entertaining. I will do better in the future to make sure that I am thinking videos first, you know, what would be interesting to show before I just start getting into my tasks and start knocking things out. I apologize for skipping ahead and not getting any footage of setting the layers out into their new home. But hey, I'm on a journey and I feel like I'm getting better and making some mental changes, some mental notes to, like I said, bring excellence to this channel and to what I'm doing. So again, thank you guys. It's been really cool these last few weeks with all the great support. I can't wait to take you guys around on the next one.